Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Too Many Guys Soccer Show short. Today, we're going to be talking about women's soccer, as this Sunday, October 1st, is the start of the Women's Super League. Yes, the Women's Super League returns to England on Sunday. It's finally going to give something for us Chelsea fans to cheer for back here. Although, we did beat Brighton this week in the Carabao Cup. I mean, that's nice. That's something. Carabao Cup, yay, yay. Anyway, in this show, I'm going to preview each and every single one of the 12 WSL teams, how I think their seasons are going to go, some additions and subtractions that have happened to the teams over the summer. So let's go. Let's get into it. Women's Super League. And you know what? I honestly couldn't be more excited, especially after the show that the best women players in the world put on for us this summer. So, anyway, if you're new to women's football or you've never watched the WSL before, here's the deal with what I feel to be the finest women's soccer league in the entire world. And don't get on me about the NWSL. Also, very, very good. So the WSL is a 12 team league, and it's made up primarily of women's teams who have men's teams counterparts in the Premier League. But it should be noted that the WSL and the Premier League are two entirely different, separate competitions. And what goes on the men's pitch has absolutely nothing to do with who competes in the WSL. Um, the only thing it really influences is how much I, as a Chelsea fan, am looking forward to the WSL season. So, um, on top of that, the top three teams from the WSL compete in the UEFA Women's Champions League. And when you compete in the UEFA Women's Champions League, you get very nice soccer cards that my good buddy Byron Robb and I will open here on the channel. So um, if you like content like that, like something a little different, you like women's soccer content, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to the Too Many Guys Soccer Show, and ring that notification bell so that you can be informed whenever we are going live. Now, that said, um, unlike in the Men's Champions League, though, only the top team in the WSL automatically qualifies for the group stage of the Champions League. The other two qualifiers have to go through early qualifying rounds. And this year, Arsenal uh, failed in their first round. So for the 22-20 or 23-24 Champions League season, Arsenal are already finished and their league season hasn't even begun yet. So it's a little bit different. But like I said, 12 teams, 3 go to Europe. Now there is a women's championship as a lower league. The bottom one team, only one team, goes down from the WSL, while the winner of the women's championship rises up. So on that note, let's start previewing all 12 teams that will make up the WSL this year. First up, we have last year's championship winner, who was Bristol City. And Bristol City returned to the WSL after 2 seasons adrift in the women's championship. Can Bristol City survive here? Well, maybe. But that said, it's going to be a challenge for them. Bristol have brought in 10 new players to attempt to stay up, including Satara Murphy, who joins them from Racing Louisville in the NWSL, um, and Kerry Jones from Man U. Now, I think there's going to be a big fight around the bottom of the table here, but if I was a betting man, which I am not, I would have to be on Bristol City, pop up one year, and then make the drop. I'm sorry, and I do think it's really important, not just for the women's game, but for the game in general, to have lower league men's sides represented in the WSL. But does Bristol City have the talent to remain up? We're going to have to learn that over 22 matches. Next up, we have last year's 11th place finisher, and that is Brighton and Hove Albion. The Seagulls had been a kind of lower mid-table side for a couple years until last year's disaster, when they had 4 managers and only 4 wins. And darn it, Brighton, having more managers than you have wins is a Chelsea thing. So unoriginal. Anyway, that kind of failure requires change, and Brighton have turned to Australia, bringing in 3 players from the A-League champion, that's Sydney FC, and they also brought in Wolfsburg forward Pauline Bremer, who was kind of got looks askance when she went to Brighton. And of course, they go to Australia because they're looking for Sam Kerr, right? Brighton, stop trying to steal our thing. Anyway, I give Brighton a lot of stick on this show, but they always prove me wrong. But I will leave the hate for the men's side. Brighton looks improved, and I don't think they're going to be the kind of side that's going to be threatened with relegation again this year. However, of course, we shall see. Brighton always proves me wrong. Moving up the table, but only on goal differential from last year, let's go to our second and final lower league men's side, and that would be Leicester. The Foxes looked doomed last year, but they roared back in the second half of the season, crawling up all the way from 12th, where they were almost left for dead, to 10th. Now, I could see more struggles for them. Arguably, the club's biggest star, Ashley Plumtree, looked good for Nigeria in the World Cup this summer. I think they said her name differently on TV, but she was Plumtree on TV in England last year. It's going to have to be addition by subtraction for them as 16 players left. Perhaps the manager knows what he is doing. They had some success under him in the second half, but someone has to be in the relegation picture. And I can't see Leicester being immune from it. So next up, and probably a bit surprisingly at this end of the table, we have Tottenham, who came in 9th last year. A big disappointment for a team who really looked like they were going to be gearing up to challenge for Europe. And actually, they ended up not that far off of relegation. And it's not starting well this year for Tottenham. Probably Tottenham's biggest ever signing, English international Beth England. She's going to be starting the season on the sidelines with hip surgery. Additionally, they've lost their starting keeper in Tinjurika Korpela. And additionally, some of their signings from last season who they brought in to compete are already out. Now, are Tottenham a threat to be relegated? Stranger things have happened. They never really looked a huge problem for sides last year, and I don't know if the signings they brought in this summer will be enough to take them too far up the table. Although I must say I'm interested to see how Chinese international Zhang Linyan fares in England. So moving on, we got a team who's going to be looking to make a leap this year, and that is West Ham. Now, West Ham only knocked home 23 goals last year. That was tied for second fewest in the WSL. They'll have to hope that being another year older, another year wiser, will bring them more success, as the team only added 3 new players during the summer window, although one of them was Rico Ueki, who was Japan's top goal scorer last year. So it'll be interesting to see how she fares in England. That addition plays out along with the fellow Japanese internationals Hanoka Hayashi and Risa Shimizu, both of whom scored for an impressive Japanese side in this year's World Cup. Will that be enough? Like I said, there have to be some teams in the bottom half of this table, and there is just a lot of competition in this league. It though it could be said it wouldn't be too far a stretch for them to see them move up a place or two in the table. Probably the biggest table surprise last year were the newly promoted Liverpool side, who handed the reigning champions Chelsea one of their only two losses in the opening match last year. And then they finally settled into 7. And now, listen, it's not that big a surprise. Liverpool are a big side. They've got an emerging England star in Missy Bo Kearns. They've got strong international experience with Shanice van de Sanden and Emma Koivisto. And they've added Sophie Roman Haug, who scored 3 times for Norway in the World Cup. And frankly, I don't remember Norway scoring at all. Just kidding. And they also have a young Austrian midfielder in Marie Hobing, who they brought in. Listen, Norwegians, they score everywhere except for their national team. And Haag scored 3 in the World Cup. So you can tell what the potential is there. I mean, Liverpool, I feel, can be a menace to the teams who are challenging for Europe, but can they themselves get there? That would be a really big move. It's certainly not impossible. Interesting fact, though, about Liverpool. Liverpool are the only place in England you can find an actual Coach Beard. And that's right, Ted Lasso fans. The manager's name of Liverpool Women's Football Club is Matt Beard. There's your Coach Beard. Let's stay on Merseyside for a moment and talk about the Everton Women's Football Club. Everton were also a pretty nice surprise last year, bouncing up from 10th in the table to 6th and beating Liverpool at Anfield. However, when you look at the teams above them and you look at a Liverpool side that's right behind them, that's bursting with talent and transfers, and you've got a West Ham team who's got a plan, you have to wonder if this Everton team is in danger of slipping back down to the bottom of the league. They might be. They lost 2 key defenders, Gabby George, who went to Man U, and Rika Sevica, and failed to bring in any defenders at all in the window. And with the likes of Sam Kerr and Alessia Russo prowling around the league, waiting to punish defenses who aren't good enough, it's hard to see this team improving their lot. But will they be better than Liverpool? No, they won't. No, frankly. I'm sorry to you, Blue Liverpool. We cheer for you, but I don't think it's going to be enough this time around. So here we have kind of a gap. We have a huge jump in the amount of goals scored by the last side, Everton, 29 to 47. And that's a very noticeable jump. And that's the kind of level you have to be at to challenge for Europe in this league. With that in mind, we have a team primed for that challenge in Aston Villa, especially considering they feature last year's Golden Boot winner, Rachel Daly, who was a star both for the Villains and for the Lionesses. And she was the only goal a game player in the WSL last year. Villa have gotten better. They've added Dutch star keeper Daphne van Domselaar, who looked great this summer, and they brought in Ebony Salmon from the Houston Dash, which happens to be where Rachel Daly came from last season. I don't know. You think she knew somebody? Oh, she had an in. Anyway, her 9 goals at Houston, Ebony's, would be a welcome addition to a team where 9 goals would have taken them from where they were in the standings to second in the league in scoring. I think Villa have a real shot here. I don't think Rachel Daly needs to get another golden boot for Villa to be a threat. Um, and we'll examine a little bit more into why. They just need to be a solid team, and I think they have. All right, we're singing Blue Moon now because we're going all the way up to the teams who had enough points to qualify for Europe, but unfortunately, Manchester City didn't have the goal differential. So Arsenal skated into Europe instead of them and promptly blew it before the season started. I'm going to mention a lot that Arsenal blew it. Well, that's right, City. This is a team who had been in Europe. In fact, they'd been a title contender the year before. But I mentioned last year in this preview that the kind of talent that they had lost was going to be a hindrance. And so right this year, they probably learned. They probably loaded up, right? They got to get back there. Well, no, they did not. In fact, they did very little. And in fact, they lost breakout World Cup Australian star Haley Rasso to Real Madrid. And you guys, Madrid are going to be better this year. They're going to be better. Are they going to be better than Barcelona? One day. I digress. Anyway, let's talk about City. City made all of 2 additions. They only brought in 2 people. They brought in Jess Park from Everton, who's a great player, and Joe Roard, who I really like. I think Roard is one of the underappreciated talents in the entire world in the women's game. She scored 4 goals in the Women's World Cup for the Netherlands, and I think she's going to be a very, very good addition to this side. City, of course, they still have the famous Lionesses, Hemp, Greenwood, Kelly, and they're going to be a very good team. Are they good enough to get back to Europe? I kind of think it depends more on the teams who were above them last year than on City themselves. I'll talk about questions around Man U later, make fun of Arsenal, but let's hop out on a limb and say yes. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go all the way and say yes. City can get back to Europe this year. Finish second? We'll see. Let's talk about Arsenal. Talk about finishing second. Arsenal came into this season hot. They were not messing around. They're already good. Don't get it twisted. And despite losing big stars to injury last year, Stina Blackstenius did what I didn't think she could do, and she led the line back to Europe, help of Frida Manum. And then this summer, they go and they bring in Chloe Lacasse from Benfica. They bring in Amanda Ilstad from PSG. You get a World Cup winner in Leia Codina from Barcelona and a breakout young Australian star in Kira Cooney-Cross. Top all that with the coup of the summer, perhaps, taking your national hero, Alessia Russo, from one of your biggest rivals. And in fact, the team that was just above you in the standings. Guys, I'm like, oh crap, we got to watch out for Arsenal. Because on top of all of that, waiting in the wings, you have last year's national hero, Beth Mead, and she's going to be back at some point. And you've got all-time WSL leading scorer Viviana Miedem. And on defense, you've got England captain Leah Williamson. They're all going to be coming back from injury. And don't forget, you've got Katie McCabe and Steph Catley, who were great in the World Cup, and they've got more. They're good in the front. They're good in the back. But then they go to Europe and they lose to Paris FC in the opening qualifying round. So my wonder is Arsenal a team of pieces and not a team? This team has "we're sick of Chelsea winning this league" written all over it. They're going for it. But the other side of that is they can be the biggest flop in women's soccer history. Time is going to tell. I think they go back to Europe, but winning the league, they're not going to do that. I'm a homer. Finally, the final team I'll talk about tonight who did not win the league last year is Man U. Yes, there was a world in which Man U could have won the WSL on the final day last year. They were that close. But I think Man U is probably the toughest team in the entire table to kind of place where they're at. On one hand, you still have strong Lioness presence. You've got Mary Earp, you've got Alatoon, you've got Nikita Paris. And then they've gone and added some international players like Gesa. They have Irene from Spain, and they added World Cup Golden Boot winner Hinata Miyazawa. But the departures are equally talented, with Russo going to Arsenal, with Ona Botley going back to Spain, the big parts of the front and back. So what do you do with this team? I think Miyazawa's adaptation to the English game is going to be a huge piece of this. Huge piece of this. And does Mary Earps leave mid-season? There were rumors she was going to Arsenal. All in all, I could see regression here. I think Villa and Liverpool are better, and those teams were fighting for fourth to sixth. Man, you couldn't be sixth in this thing, could they? Finally, this evening, I will leave you with my choice for champion. And listen, blast me all you want. Hit me up. Hit it in the comments. But I've been right the last 4 years in a row. Your reigning queens of England, of course, are the Chelsea Football Club. And honestly, they have so much talent that I don't know where you put them all. And I didn't know where to put them all in this preview and trying to keep it under half an hour. Like, look, you've got Sam Kerr, and that's enough said. And starting to her outside will likely be Gora Wrighton, who was a 20-goal creator last year, and Lauren James, who is soon to be a worldwide superstar. Now, Chelsea have lost Magdalena Eriksson, the captain, and Pernilla Harder, who's, of course, a superstar. Those are not small names to lose. But they've added back Ashley Lawrence from Lyon, Canadian. They've added some Americans, Katarina Macario, Mia Fischel, both of whom will probably be in red, white, and blue in the Olympics next summer. And, I can go on. So I will. No, I'm not. I'm not going to. You get the point. They've got Emma Hayes. And what manager in the world would you rather have right now managing your women's side? And if you think Pep Guardiola is coming to manage your women's side, we'll get on the same page about what you're smoking. But I digress. This is a team last year that went to Barcelona and drew them in their full stadium with 80,000 people there. They're achingly close to being the world's best. And but their Achilles heel might be a calf, and it would be Sam Kerr's calf. She is the taliswoman of taliswomans, and she needs to be Sam Kerr for this team to excel in a league with this much talent. And with only 12 goals last year, you kind of have to ask, are we at the end of Sam Kerr? I'll let you wonder that. I'll just watch Sam Kerr play football because there are very few things in life that give me greater joy. Yes, Chelsea are going to win the league. No, I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. They are that good. And again, if you disagree, I want to hear about it. Leave a comment. I won't read it. You don't need to feel heard. Just kidding, of course. Anyway, here in the United States, the home of WSL football is Paramount Plus, since you already have it to watch the Men's Champions League. You'll be happy to know that this Sunday, October 1st, you've got two very good matches to start off your season. At 7:30, you've got Man U traveling to Birmingham, take on Rachel Daly and Villa. My predictions are going to be tested very early there. And then at 12:30, your champions of Chelsea are heading up to North London to take on Tottenham, minus our old friend Bath England. That's a shame. Anyway, check Paramount Plus every week to see what matches you can watch. They usually give you two. All right, guys. Last year was great, and this year has the potential to be even better in the WSL. So much new talent finding their way to the league, the parity is going to improve, and thus we'll get better matches. And with only 22 in a season, every one of those games is so important. Doing a 12-team short like this, I have tried to keep it fairly brief. But I might have missed something. I might have missed a big pickup, big signing. Let me know. I want to hear. Anyway, you guys, for the Too Many Guys Soccer Show, I'm Chelsea Mike Shustak. I think I did okay tonight, but I'll try to do better next time.